Hello, everyone. My name is Dave Holman. I'm a member of the Greater Education Council of Connecticut. The GECC has as its mission statement to facilitate, coordinate, and communicate a united statewide effort to educate, expose, and prevent the woke indoctrination and sexualization of all children in the education system of the state of Connecticut. To this end, and with the help of Guilford Public TV, we've been doing a series of interviews with brave Connecticut residents who are on the forefront of this effort. We're pleased to have with us today Christine Rebstock, my friend. Christine is a conservative transgender woman who has been bravely speaking out about the dangers of gender-affirming care for children under 18 for several years now. Welcome, Christine.
David, thank you. It's an honor and a privilege to be here. Thank you to Guilford Public TV for hosting this. As we speak, I am the brand new Executive Director of Media and Communications for a new organization called LGBTS United. It's a group of lesbian, bisexual, gay, and transsexual people opposed to fighting queer gender ideology, which has permeated our society. And I'll make a statement, too, on behalf of our organization.
Sure.
We at LGBTS United stand with parents and parental rights groups to fight DEI curriculum in our government public schools, to call for an end to the sexualization and medical transition of minor-age children. In addition, we condemn gender transition that does not emanate from the home and done without parental knowledge and consent.
Well, that's a worthwhile cause and worthy of all your efforts, Christine.
I'm fortunate our organization, we were working behind the scenes to get everything going live. I was hoping to have some trinkets to bring, but they're going to were produced. And so this is a startup organization. So.
Is it a national organization?
Oh, we plan to go national.
Okay. Right now it's based in Connecticut?
No. We actually, an author named Trin Denise, I get a message about 3 months ago. She introduced herself. She's a lesbian woman. She's sick and tired of this gender ideology pushed on kids and the self-ID laws that allow a man, not even to call himself a woman and use women's spaces. That's the other part of the gender ideology that's not really talked about is the self-ID laws. Men taking women's spaces. And there's 4 people. T, he, she's from Toledo area, I think. We have someone in the Midland. Tegan from the great Twin Cities.
Mm-hmm.
And Trin's from Virginia. So we're all spread out. And it's just, we've had enough of what's going on. We said we're going to take it on. We want to fight.
So how'd she get your name?
T is on our chat rooms and Twitter.
Oh.
We come to call ourselves the transsexuals of Twitter. Because we realize we're not the only people. We're sick of this. Leave the kids alone. Protect women's spaces. The negative blowback from why we say, oh, you're all anti-trans. Well, we have trans queer gender ideology. If we could leave the kids alone, we could end these self-ID laws. Maybe we could coexist better. Our state here is so insane with some laws, the self-ID laws. You know what they did for the schools this year?
Yeah.
Okay, as of September 1st, our fabulous legislature up there at the Kremlin on Capitol Avenue, they mandate that all government public schools from grades 3 to 12 have feminine products, not only in the girls' rooms, the neutral bathrooms, but in boys' bathrooms as well.
Oh my God.
And at what point in time does anyone born male, which is me, ever need feminine products? We can't get pregnant. We don't have periods. I wouldn't even know what to use a feminine product.
So they're just encouraging kids to...
Yeah, and this is an unfunded mandate to the municipalities.
Unbelievable.
And what about the cost we're not going to hear about? Hey, during the boys' room, tampons going down the toilets. There's going to be some plumbing costs.
Yeah, I think things you don't even think of. Well, who knew? That what you just told me. This is the first time I'm hearing that.
That's the thing. I've talked to many people, and they didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. So, when did we meet?
You reached out to me, Professor Jay Bergman, right, from CCSU.
Yes.
He sent
yes.
you a video. I attended a Turning Point USA at Central Connecticut. They showed Matt Walsh's What is a Woman? And I found out in social media from their pride group organizing a rally. Stop it. They shouldn't have this. It's hate. Like, I saw clips of the movie last year. I'll go check it out. And I was welcomed by the Turning Point crew in the picture, and I got to make a speech after. And that's how you saw. Then
Well,
you got my email, I think, from Susan Regan.
Yes.
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 She's a great woman. Her and Bill and her husband Bill, they are so great people. They're supportive of me. They've lit a fire under me. I can't say enough about them.
Well, you talk about Jay and Bill and Susan. I became aware. I live here in Guilford, and I became aware that in Guilford we have a Guilford Human Rights Commission, and they were going to sponsor a presentation. Let's see. It was called Forum on Transgender Rights, Gaining Understanding and Showing Support. This was last October 25th. And I became aware of it after the presentation, sometime in December. And so I researched the woman, the transgender woman that they had come and do the presentation. Her name was Jillian Celentano. And she had given talks all over Connecticut, and her talks were entitled Transgender 101. And she was an advocate for gender-affirming care for kids. So I had an email conversation with the Guilford Human Rights Commission, and after we became acquainted, I suggested to them that they have you do a presentation just to give the other side of the issue, because there are two sides to that gender affirming care,
Yes.
whether it's good for kids or it's not good for kids, and they refused. They refused. So my point was that the Guilford Human Rights Commission is it's an official town organization, that they get funding from the town. In fact, in some of these communications with them, they said that the insurance for the event was going to be paid for by the board of selectmen from the town, and the honorarium that they gave to Jillian Celentano came from the Guilford Human Rights Commission. I'm glad you're here today so we can discuss some of these issues, and you can let people know where you're coming from as far as gender affirming care for kids. So first of all, Christine, what is a woman?
A woman is an adult human female, and which realistically, biologically, I'll never be. Say I have gender dysphoria, or the correct term, which we're going to start calling for, is sexual identity disorder. It used to be, up until 10 years ago, called gender identity disorder, but that word disorder was like, it's a stigma. There's medical and mental health. And this was under the Obama regime. We all know what party they are. That stigma, so they changed it to gender dysphoria. Gender dysphoria is very brutal to live with. I'm attempted suicide at the beginning when I first came out to my spouse.
So you were married?
Yeah, I'm married. Yeah, I was married. We've been still married. Why I didn't come out in my 20s? Well, 35 years ago, I'm in a press box at the XL Center, or the old New Haven Coliseum, and I bowled. Freshman year in college, I was on a national championship team.
Oh, wow.
And I got into 4 bowling Hall of Fames, and I covered Major League and sports as a member of the media, and I competed in some as a bowler. U.S. Open, the Masters, PBA national
Oh,
tournaments.
that's terrific.
So I have a sports background, but there was always something in me. something was different about me when I was a kid. I remember 12 years old, something's different. I seen on Phil Donahue's show. We didn't have cable then, so that's when they called female impersonators, whatever. We didn't know it was transgender, transsexual. And those were the days when the great Jimmy Carter years when you had to wait half a block to get gas and it was on your license plate, Audi. Remember that?
Remember a while.
So I always knew I had Christine in me. The first time I ever stepped foot out was senior year of high school at Maloney and Meriden. The Thanksgiving week was, of course, you kicked off with your Thanksgiving Day football game. But they had a flag football game during that week. So if girls are going to play flag football, you need boy cheerleaders. So I became a powder puff cheerleader. Hey, we learned all the cheers. I was pretty good with the pom-poms. I just didn't look good with the field hockey skirt. So we how we're going to present. Should we go girly? And no one wanted. Just basically put your wig on and your field skirt and we wore a white sweater and one of the girls made us the green M from Maloney, and that was it. My mom got me a cruddy looking wig. I'm thinking this is a great opportunity lost. Yeah, I want to do my nails, but no. But we stuck together as a team. And maybe if I was all out as my quote true self then, maybe I would have came out publicly sooner and seek the help of medical and mental health therapy if it was guided, if transitioning medically was the right thing to do. Remember, once you go down the medical road, there's no return.
Well, it wasn't as easy to come out back then, I imagine, as it is now.
No.
It's more accepted
and
now.
then we're going to go to 2019 when I was hoping to die before I think I locked Christine away, double locked,
That's unbelievable.
and she got out.
Did your
No one knew.
did your wife know?
No. I couldn't live. And I
So-
told her it didn't go well. And what am I going to do? And it's like, I can't live. And obviously she didn't take it well. It's understandably so.
But you're still friends?
We're still married together. She's my biggest supporter. So she
that's
took
great.
our dog at the time, not the one I have now. And house is empty, unplugged the CO detector, wrote a note, put it in the passenger seat of the car, put it
Oh my
down,
God.
started the car to the garage. If it was a quick process, I wouldn't be here. And I didn't want her to catch me in the act of doing it. And so I'm like, this isn't working quite yet. And she's going to be home soon. So I aborted it. That was really God saving me. And then we had another thing. Oh yeah, she didn't want I had so much body hair, I felt like an animal. And I found Nair spray away you spray it on, took it all off. And of course she flipped out. We had a big to do, and then I told her about the suicide attempt. And the very next day, I was working at Middlesex Health as a courier. I'd done that for a quarter of a century. And one of my stops isn't far from her house. So she goes, I'll meet you there. And you brought me like my snack and something to drink, and she wrote a note. All right. I never knew it was this bad. We'll take things slow and see how it goes. But that day I was saved. I knew there's a ray of hope.
Well, she loved you.
Yes. I'm blessed. I'm blessed that she stayed with me, and we're in many ways, we're a better couple than we used to be.
That's terrific.
See, I hid something inside me when I was able to become my true self. A different voice came out. I could communicate better.
So you've never had any thoughts like that since?
No. Oh, no. I'm lucky. It's that day when she gave me the note. Next day at work, we have a chapel at the hospital. I went right to it. Thank God. I basically gave him the keys to me. I accept you. Please help me. I accept you as my Lord and my Savior. And God gave me the voice. Originally, there's so few trans people. Let's educate people. And then I realized what was going on. Hey, why couldn't you? Once I realized what was in puberty blockers, I'm like, this isn't what we were told. This isn't good. And then last March, April, I'm listening to Rudy Giuliani in the car, and the former mayor of New York City is on WABC every day from 3 to 4.
Don't tell me you called him.
I was going. In fact, I was going to my friend's. He ran a bowling pro shop in Winter Locks. He was talking about what they call quote the "Don't Say Gay" bill from grades 3 to kindergarten to 3rd grade. I'm like, you're going to teach and they're bringing this into schools? I'm like, well, you have to. 3rd grade's only part of elementary school. You got to go at least through middle school. You can't be teaching young kids this. So in the car, I called it, voice activate the call. The producer gets right away and goes, wow, Rudy will like this. Hang on. Not even 2 minutes on, he goes right to my call. I told him.
So that was the first time you called a radio show?
About a year and a half ago, yeah.
Wow. So, but you've called many radio shows.
Oh, yeah, that's where I have it, yeah.
So which ones have you called?
All right, WTIC, Pastor Will, Tom Shattuck in the morning, Todd Feinberg, Primetime, the PM Drive rather, Gary Byron with the WDRC AM in Hartford, Morning Drive. I was a guest on Lee Elsie's 94.9 Morning Drive show. Howie Carr in Boston. Reese Hopkins is a fill-in on WTIC. He's been very supportive of me. I've called him many times. He was subbing on a show in Buffalo a couple weeks ago. I called in when he was subbing. When Michigan had a law proposed that you could go to jail for not using the right pronouns, I called WJR, which is Detroit's big talk, 50,000 watt station.
Really?
Yes. And of course, we had the WABC, we had Cosby.
I've heard you. I listened to James Golden, a.k.a. Gold Schnerdley, on Saturday morning. I've heard you on there a couple of times.
James is good to me.
Yeah.
First time I called James, during the week show was 4 to 5. He gave me over 5 minutes of airtime.
Oh, he's terrific.
And Greg Kelly, of course. Dominic Carter when I catch him, he's good. They've all been nice. I called Andrew Giuliani a couple months ago. He was, wow, that's a great point. Don't call back. They'll all say, call back. And Greg also does a Newsmax show every night.
Yes.
And he's asked me to be a guest twice on it.
So you've been on TV?
Yes.
And any other TV shows?
Yes, Susan Regan.
Really?
Connecticut Valley Views last year. Jimmy J, the producer of Gary Byron's morning show, had a couple shows I was on. One was with Joe Aguiar, too. They did double.
So everybody's really receptive when you call in.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. But you're like a lone voice in the wilderness, right?
Yes.
No other support in Connecticut other than this new group that you formed.
The support comes from people that go to parental rights meetings.
Yeah.
Many in the radio audience. I've heard from people throughout the country when they see me on Newsmax. But from the LGBTS community, I'm not really well liked anymore. No. And I say transsexual, not transgender, because basically you transition under proper medical care and mental health care, you transition to live as the opposite sex. Your biological sex doesn't change.
So,
and you mentioned, I'm sorry, David, you mentioned gender affirming care.
Yeah.
I don't even like that term. When you transition, you live as the opposite sex. That helps with your dysphoria. And we're in an age where I've seen people, I've seen the trans liberal versus conservative liberal middle ground on Jubilee Media, and some people in that panel went to a doctor and walked out with a prescription that day.
Oh my God.
You need mental health. Mental health aspect of this is being diminished. That's why they changed it from gender identity disorder to gender dysphoria. And I'm saying, we're going to say, no, we need, mental health is a big part of trans health care. You have to be absolutely sure someone's dysphoric. And how is a child that mind wants to do something else even every day is different? We're encouraging them to go down medical.
Yeah, I've heard the human mind doesn't mature until the mid-20s. So how can kids, minds full of mush, make that decision?
Well, it goes to this point.
Your bodies are still changing.
But it's brought into the schools.
Yeah.
And social media, TikTok, all these things.
It's cool, right?
Yeah, they're thinking it's a really cool, it's a trend. Hey, it's a fad, isn't it? No. You know what? No one tells you, no therapist told me you're going to be a second-class citizen of society.
Yeah, but they must think that they're going to be treated special if they enter into this process.
Because the left loves identity politics. You're this group, that group.
That's true.
You know, trans is the hot thing. You know, to everyone that tells you vote against your self-interest. Wait till the next group of people is going to be, quote, the most marginalized. Trans, rather transgender. You do now.
So it used to be transgender was a very small percentage of the population.
Still is.
Still is.
But we're hearing more because of the kids involved. And self-ID laws, that's where, like I said, you could call yourself a woman and use a woman's room, or a woman's changing room at the gym. And the law protects it. This is the problem. You know, I call for a third bathroom in public buildings. I use it. But what real life experience, if I go out, if you're looking for something, yeah, I look for a bathroom. I'll miss the women's rooms there. See, because you're dysphoria, you're going to try to do whatever you can for people for me, be accepted as a woman. See, I have to earn that. I can't demand things. I have to earn that respect. And knock on it, well, if we would have knocked on it, people see me as a woman. So I usually don't have any problems with that. But we've had trans people here that will refuse to work on their bodies. They don't have no female mannerisms. Well, I got news for you. Women know they can spot things. So if you earn the trust of women, you're going to be treated good. But our society is getting away from that.
Mm.
And kids. I bet you in China they're teaching third graders advanced math, and we're teaching them pronouns.
Yeah. So, you mentioned pronouns. I know here in Guilford, that's the norm. Kids can pick their pronouns, and if you don't use their preferred pronouns, you get in trouble. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
No, it's a bad thing. Why is this being introduced to kids in elementary schools, in particular the younger kids, questioning, are you have a different identity than your sex or pronouns?
Yeah, they're being encouraged.
Yes. But yet in reality, there's only two genders, and sex is binary. Pronouns, why? They shouldn't be a thing. We used to call androgynous people, but non-binary somehow got caught into the trans umbrella for another people to claim use victim status. And they have their own flag. But to a transsexual, we don't, that's why I say LGBTS. We stop at transsexual instead of T because transgender took away transsexual. So that's part of our reason we're going to fight the ideology, which is going to help to protect kids and protect women's spaces, but we want our letters and we want our dignity back.
So what does the S stand for?
Transsexual.
Oh, transsexual.
Hopefully we just go back to T one day.
T, yeah, gotcha.
See, we're having, people want to know the Jubilee Media middle ground. That was like the first shot of the transsexual versus TQ plus Civil War. And Saturday in Avon was another shot.
Oh, well, why don't you talk a little bit about that?
That was the Moms for Liberty Symposium in Avon with featured speaker James Lindsay.
Oh, he's tremendous.
He was. The one thing I took from it was amazing. He gave an example of a second grade mathematical and word problem. Kind of went like this. He goes, I think he was out in the Southwest. He goes, there's a word problem. It says, Johnny's in his car with his parents going to an amusement park. It is a 50-mile ride. They have driven 30 miles. How many miles are left? And you have to answer the question, the mathematical part, but you have to phrase it in a word. So you can't just say 20. So the correct answer would be 20 miles left to go. And that alone, they said the kids got right. But the teachers' unions are focusing on three parts of that word problem. One, amusement park. Can everyone go? Some people may not be able to afford to go.
Has nothing to do with the question.
Exactly. Now, is this because someone as a white family could go and the black family can't afford to go? They focused on mom and dad. What if there's a single parent? What if someone has two moms? What if someone else has two dads? And they focused on the car. Is the car good for the environment? We have to think about climate change. See, now the whole focus is to take the argument to those social justice issues rather than the mathematical and the reading comprehension and writing part of it. And that's the direction of our government public education.
You know, Christine, in Guilford, the big thing is now in the school system is portrait of a graduate, all right? And in Guilford, it's rampant throughout the whole website. It affects everything: the budget process, the school safety climate plan. It's all about portrait. Everything's about portrait of a graduate. And what portrait of a graduate is in Guilford is 6 woke competencies: global citizen, critical thinker, empathetic individual. Nothing about being proficient in reading or writing or arithmetic or science. It's unbelievable. And that's the problem with our school system today. You know, kids are coming out and yeah, they may feel good about themselves, or actually they're coming out confused, but they know nothing. They test scores are coming down, and you know they're not proficient in all these things. They're not prepared for college, in other words, or for jobs.
No, they're not.
So James Lindsay addressed that.
Oh yeah, the cultural Marxism, the communism. He referred back to Mao Zedong implementing communism in the 50s.
Yeah.
You know, he did mention transgender was never a thing until kids got involved, until women's spaces got invaded. Trans, queer, gender ideology, that's what we're speaking out against. That's why I'm the evil person for doing that here in Connecticut.
So who else was on the panel there?
The panel, State Senator Rob Sampson, Representative Ann Daphne made a speech. Todd Wood was the moderator of that panel.
Yeah.
Dr. Ann Chaya, if I pronounce her name right, got the name of, there's like 8 people. There was 8 persons. I can't think of the others.
Danella Rhodes was.
Yes, Danella was there.
Yeah.
They all make very emphatic points. You know, all the protesters out there, the Avon Democrats.
How many protesters did they have?
Probably 180 to 200. We were outnumbered 3 to 1 by them.
Really? There were more protesters than there were people attending the event?
We probably had about 50 attendees, and plus with the staff, maybe no more than 70 people inside the community center.
Oh, wow. And they had TV cameras there?
No.
No, they didn't?
No, that's a funny thing. Manju, she's the founder of the Moms for Liberty Harford County chapter.
Yeah.
Moms for Liberty chapters are independent of each other. And it's like a McDonald's. You could go to one, you get a 2 cheeseburger meal for $9.50, but you go somewhere else, it's like $8.80. Different people running it. So that's the way it is. So she had to fund the event herself. So she's dealing with the media requests. She goes, "Hey, you know what? Why don't you do it? You're a spokesperson. Just you made me a spokesperson." So send me something, I think, from one of our TV stations. The assignment desk editor leaves a phone number without the extension, and they can't pick up the phone. I'm like, I'd rather do it by phone rather than email, because they refer to it as a Moms for Liberty rally. No, it's a symposium. There was no TV. I thought every station in the state would be there.
Well,
and only
the protesters got the word, right?
Avon Democrats led it, but the Avon Republican page, not a response.
Really?
Senator Rob Sampson was the only one to say anything.
You know, unfortunately, he is the only one that's supportive of all the issues we care about.
I'll say Ann Daphne, she's really hard on this. She was there. She was there. Gail Mastro Francesco was.
She's good. Yeah.
But there's not enough. Leadership that Connecticut GOP did not denounce this. And I'm very upset about that.
Mm.
I mean, luckily things didn't get too violent. I mean, Susan and Bill Regan, they were leaving. They were doing footage for their
They were there?
Yeah, for their Connecticut Valley View show.
Yeah.
And someone was poking a cane at Bill.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my, and Bill's the nicest guy.
He is.
Nicest guy.
These are the people, but yet these people David had stop the hate signs, love wins, inclusion.
They think that they're right.
And how about the Avon Cares? If you go in Avon, I drive through there on one of my stops as a laboratory courier. You see Avon Cares signs in their yards with a pride flag on it.
With all the hands like
Yeah.
this.
You know, they blocked me in their Facebook page. You know, for all the transphobia, they said James Lindsay wasn't. There was no mention of banning books on Saturday. No transphobia inside the room. There was. On the outside by those loving protesters, all directed at me.
Yeah. Well, they don't understand.
But you couldn't talk with them, no.
No, they didn't want to talk.
No, they didn't want to engage.
Well,
Evil.
that's the same thing with the Guilford Rights Commission
Exactly.
here, and with the Guilford Board of Education. They don't want to debate any of this stuff. But let's get back to your journey. Did you have problems when you transitioned? Is that why you're so against introducing this gender affirming care for kids?
I have my pills with me in my pocketbook. I take spironolactone, that's a testosterone blocker, and estradiol. People say, well, you only gender critical people, well, you just put a costume on. All right, well, every woman takes their makeup off. But these here grew, they're real. I can't take them off. A surgeon has to do it. And I'm chemically castrated. Okay, that's what I want, but a woman has a better shot at getting another woman pregnant than I do now. These are not reversible changes. But yet, why are we in a rush to have kids medicated? And now I'm not anti-kid, we want to do other things. We want better mental health therapy, maybe non-medical interventions for them to be themselves.
Did you have any side effects?
Yes. I found out my white blood cells were high. That's a link to leukemia. And primary care physician last year sent me to the oncologist. I had a couple appointments. Links it to the HRT. Luckily, the levels have came down where I don't need any intervention for cancer right now.
Well, let me ask you a question. If you introduce HRT and hormone replacement therapy and puberty blockers to kids, is the likelihood of them having side effects more than you as an older person?
Body's going through. I always say this: interrupting a child's puberty is gambling with their long-term future health. We're seeing the Tavistock Clinic in the UK that's a pediatric gender clinic, they shut it down. We're seeing foreign countries starting to say, well, time out here. This isn't really such a great idea. We're gonna stop them. We're gonna put a pause on our medicating the kids.
Yeah, they've done studies, I guess,
Yes.
and they see that this isn't such a good idea.
If you're people on Twitter, I keep calling it's X, Twitter. If you follow the Transsexual Unity page, you go back to Monday, June 5th, and the space is entitled Pride Month. Is it a good thing? And you click on the list, and you go to the 46-minute mark, because I was listening this morning. There's an 18-year-old named Caitlin. She didn't have gender issues, but she was put on puberty blockers for early puberty onset. Well, she's got spinal stenosis.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and osteoporosis of other things.
Oh my
They put her
God.
on at age 8.
Now, how long can you be on, say, puberty blockers or hormone replacement therapy until the time that it's not reversible? Let's say this. Say you're on it and you want to detransition.
All right, I notice my non-performance downstairs less than half a year.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Started growing knees, started growing, yeah. And now I'll be on HRT the day I die.
So you'll be under a doctor's care forever?
Yeah.
Well,
And surgery scares me because 40 years ago at this time, I was in New Haven at Yale. I had not one but 2 detached retina operations. And I wasn't successful. I have permanent vision impairment. So I basically only have one eye. It's usable. So going under a knife scares the living daylights out of me. That's why I have that surgery.
I can imagine.
And in your mind, and if you don't have the right mental state, surgery is not going to help you.
No.
That's the problem. That's why I focus. We need proper mental care. I don't like to say this doesn't reversible surgery, certainly not reversible, but we're seeing people that have had surgery and regretting it.
Yeah. And it's too late.
It's your sell a bill of good that's going to fix everything for you. But if you have mental issues, it doesn't help it. You have to address the mental issues first.
So well, let's talk a little bit about the mental issues. I mean, the argument I hear from the side that's pushing this to kids at younger ages is that it prevents them from committing suicide. Is that a true statement or not?
I think it's emotional blackmail. Look, I'll maintain this. I think for every 100 kids in school, they're gender confused or confused about their sexual identity, confused. Now, if trans people is under 1% of the population, that means 1 out of every 100 is going to end up having dysphoria where they're going to go down the medical road when they're old, when they should be legally old enough to do so. So 99 out of 100 is just probably a phase. And yet we're rushing to people, oh, you are, hey, you really have dysphoria, even though they don't.
What about kids that are going through this process? Are they more prone to suicide or less prone to suicide?
We're seeing that once you start the medical road, there's suicide. It doesn't cure suicide thoughts. So maybe a transition, maybe being told you're dysphoric isn't the. We have to look at the whole thing. It seems like the system. Okay, you're dysphoric. Boom, we'll change everything. No. I think we need a comprehensive mental health panel.
What about parents? What about the schools now? I hear they don't feel the need to involve the parents in these decisions. What do you say about that?
Our Attorney General William Tong signed as part of an amicus brief in the summer, in support of the Ludlow school districts. His parent Ludlow had 2 kids transitioned without our knowledge.
Yeah.
And yet the Andrea Joy Campbell, Massachusetts AG, filed a law to support the school to withhold that information, and our Attorney General, Mr. Tong, was joined with the other 15 AGs in support of that. Yes, they encourage schools to withhold information from the kids. New Jersey State Supreme Court sued 3 school districts that did let the parents know, hey, their child came out. And yet those school districts, like I said, got sued. And this is insane. Parents have to know about this. God, if you're going to do a permanent change to a kid and you're not telling the parents, there's something's wrong with this picture, David. And that's the whole thing about parental authority. They have to know this stuff. It's bad enough they're getting a DEI-filled curriculum, and you're going to lead them down the gender journey, which is going down a slippery slope.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, how can this be happening, Kristen?
Leadership, White House, Barack Obama, to radically transform our country. This is where the gender ideology started, and it exploded the day President Biden took over. The first thing he did after declaring war on our energy independence was transgender people, transgender kids, I have your back, I have your support. This opened the floodgates, it seemed.
Yeah, I know.
And look at the Department of Education, Miguel Cardona. He's a Meriden native, as I am. He's all supportive of social emotional learning in the classroom. He doesn't speak out against it. He also couldn't answer that question, what is a woman, that you asked me, too.
Well, these are all nice terms: social emotional learning, equity, and social justice, right?
But the kids aren't learning this. You know, when you hear Moms for Liberty and Family Institute of Connecticut, Families for Freedom, we're not looking to ban books. We want the kids to have a quality education where they can succeed in life upon graduation, maybe without the need to go to college. Can we teach kids to balance checkbooks or what the business climate's out? Can we teach every kid to change a tire, jumpstart a car, basic sewing, cook a basic meal?
Practical things.
Yeah, but that's so ignored. And they're learning that person has a lighter skin color. It's their privilege. That's why they did well. You know, the identity politics is killing our country. As you said, Oregon school, they lowered their standards even more. Basically, you're just going to graduate every high school kid. They're not really going to, scores aren't, they're secondary. We need to, if anything, we need to toughen our standards.
Well, it is truly stunning what's going on, and school districts like Guilford, for instance, yeah, they may be up towards the top of the schools in Connecticut, but the test scores are still falling down. So everything's relative. If everything's coming down and you're at the top, it's still coming down.
And what in Guilford isn't a one-off. Guilford is what's going on everywhere.
Yeah.
The attitude of Guilford with the Board of Ed, that's commonplace. You know, when I go to Hartford to testify at the Connecticut State Board of Ed meetings, granted they're a Wednesday morning, so you're not getting, as we say, conservatives have to work to pay for liberal policies. I'll testify against what's going on. And there's people that counteract me.
Well,
That agree that, that's wrong. We need CRT and SEL in the classroom. I am stunned by this.
well, when you testify, I know here in Guilford, we can go to Board of Education meetings, for instance, and we can have 3 minutes to talk.
Yes.
But there's no dialogue back and forth.
Same in Hartford. You just put your 3 minutes in, you sit down, and when public forum's over, I leave.
So they just put up with everybody that wants to talk,
Yes.
or they'll, if they get statements in support of what they're doing, they'll say, "Oh, most of the statements were in support of what I'm doing," and leave it at that, right?
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
And it's an echo chamber for the most part for them.
So, we were talking before about how kids transition because they're treated special, right? Do you think this stigmatizes the kids? Do you think that they're looked at, differently? I mean, almost on purpose.
I think, maybe, hey, trans is cool. Maybe it's an in thing. LGBT is cool. LGBT population I thought it was under 5%, but for Gen Z it's 20%. So people on the left side of the equation, that's because people are more inclusive. But Gen Z is the youngest demographic of our population. Something that they're being taught this. It's being shown to them at a young age.
Yeah, as the thing to do.
You were born, no one wants to be trans. I don't care when someone says, I want to be a trans person. No, you don't. This is brutal to live with.
Yeah, you would know.
The fact it's just being introduced, and why?
So.
You know why, too? And they say gender, maybe use the word gender. Gender could minimize the difference between man and woman, the sexes. It's more government control. So it's cultural Marxism.
So what should the schools be doing?
Well, why are we having social media? Parents should crack down on their kids with social media. I think we gotta get rid of these diversity, equity, inclusion curriculum. No CRT, no social emotional learning. Let's focus on the basics. Let's focus on raising test scores. And there's nothing wrong with people succeed, people don't succeed. The trophy participations attitude we have, that holds people down. Just remember one thing, what's the enemy of a totalitarian government? A well-educated, self-sufficient public.
That's true. Who said that? Benjamin Franklin?
Well, we're not preparing our kids to succeed. So.
No, we're not.
And we're making them dependent on government.
So specifically about transgenderism and sexualization, when should school start talking about sex, basically?
High school, minimum.
High school?
I would think high school. And I gotta tell you, as I can't reiterate this enough, having the dysphoria is different from what you would call the transgenderism. Mm-hmm. A lot of us, like I said, the transsexuals, we're sick of this. This creates negative backlash for us. That's why we're trying to speak out against this. Why are elementary and junior high students learning about? And there's books like Genderqueer, which have been recommended reading. They're very graphic.
Well,
we don't need to have, I don't want to use the language, but we don't need kids giving each other blowjobs on this book in our government public libraries and schools, and school libraries. It's not appropriate. It's not age appropriate.
You'll find this interesting. In Guilford, back in March, there was one resident who challenged 5 books that were in the school libraries or were being used in AP courses in high school. Books like Lawn Boy or Flamer or The Bluest Eye, books like this. So at each of the Board of Education meetings for the past, since March, they've had people go up to the microphone during the public comment part of the meeting, and most of the comments have been in favor of these books. In fact, some of the residents in Guilford, you'll find this interesting. So they formed a banned book club just so that they could read all of these books. But as part of the process, the Guilford Board of Education read all these books, and finally at their October meeting, they discussed whether they should retain these books in the libraries or not, and they voted unanimously to retain all of these books.
Oh.
And I read the minutes of the meeting, and there were comments like, "Oh, Lawn Boy was my favorite of the 5." So,
that's a problem there. You're not going. This is going into our kids with this.
And their comment was, we're going to leave the decision on what books to have in the libraries up to the librarians at the school. So they're there's no oversight. In other words,
No.
there's zero oversight.
And they're in the children's sections of the public libraries. And how about Guilford Public Library in the beginning of the year sponsoring a social emotional learning story hour for kids 5 to
You're right. I'm glad you brought that up. It's unbelievable. For kids 5 through 8, social emotional story time.
David, I gotta tell you, when I was in that age, I begged my parents to take me bowling, take me to Burger King, go see Nighthawk game or a Whaler game. Not to the library to learn about social emotional learning issues.
No, it is truly unbelievable. Well, what's next for Christine Rebstock?
Well, I hope LGBTS United, the plans we have come to fruition. Trinity, she's the founder CEO. She's working on getting press credentials. She wants me to go to Washington, and also be on White House press briefings.
So would you move to Washington?
If I have to move down there, I will. Or if I could just drive back.
We need you here in Connecticut, Christine. We need your voice here.
right now, because my days off are Thursday and Friday for my lab job, I'm kind of restricted to go to Albany, New York, Boston, Providence, around here, and test if I know any press conferences. You know, you're talking about the insane stuff. 2 weeks ago, I attended a press conference in Hartford. I found out on X, someone pulled Emperor Ned Lamont, our Speaker of the House, Matt Ritter, and Hartford Mayor Luke Cronin, amongst others, will be at the Hartford YWCA, and it was to introduce $4.2 million in state funding for the creation of the Racial Justice and Gender Equity Center
Oh my God! At the YMCA,
at YWCA.
the YWCA.
And keep in mind, this was a couple days after BLM support of Hamas and the day before the Day of Jihad. Was that mentioned by anyone? No. When it came time to, and this was about their saluting Lamont as a great leader. I couldn't really talk about the racial justice part of the platform, but with LGBTS United. So I used it to talk about gender equity. I said, well, you realize we have self-ID laws. You can have men, not necessarily trans women, force their way into women's spaces. And I go, our laws also will say trans girls are girls, trans women are women. I said, that's false. Women are women, trans women are trans women. Like, as I stated, I can't change our biological sex. So I go, hope when you open it, this is for women. No one followed up on it, and no one on the panel answered. And they shut that speech down. Just like
They were stunned, right?
yeah. But it's a question that had to be asked.
Absolutely.
Why is it me? I'm not a professional media person. But I'm going to have to start asking these questions more often.
You know, I was listening to a radio program the other day, and they were saying that DEI is the root of all this nonsense that's going on in the Middle East right now. They said that diversity, equity, inclusion is mindless, it's racist, and it's anti-Semitic. You know, all at the same time, and it's the root of all our problems.
You think about it, I see people with pride flags supporting Hamas.
Yes.
You think about what radical Islamic State.
Don't they know what happens over in these countries?
Well, I'll tell you what, if I ever go to a country, if I come home alive, that'd be something else. I don't bet on that.
No.
But you're an Islamophobe for saying that.
Well, you know, that's why part of our Greater Education Council of Connecticut, our mission statement is to educate. You know, because
not indoctrinate. Right?
Educate, not indoctrinate. Yeah.
Well, we will stand LGBTS United, as with Family Institute of Connecticut and with Families for Freedom and Moms for Liberty, Hartford County. We will stand with the Greater Education Council of Connecticut.
Well, you're a good friend, Christine. Anything final words you want to give the public here?
Look, people that are transsexual or transgender, if you want to call them, we're not the boogie people of society. We're the most misunderstood. You know, you don't have to hate us. At least try to get to know us before you make a judgment.
Well, if they're all like you, Christine, what's not to like? You know, what's not to like?
You know, I'm an American first. You know, my pride flag is the United States flag.
That's right. That's right. You know, that's why if you're an Afro-American, if you're an Italian-American, if you're a German-American, I think it should be American African or American.
I'm an American with sexual identity disorder. I want to say an American transsexual.
That's right, and you love our country.
And I'm worried next president, you know, if we lose the next presidential election and we lose the House and lose more seats in the Senate, we're not going to have a constitutional republic anymore. How are we going to fight a third world war, which is on the horizon, especially with our military going woke too?
How can Christine? Let's wrap this up. How can people reach out to you if they want to contact you?
Well, I'm on Twitter at Christine REBST1, Christine Rebstock on Instagram and Facebook.
Okay. Well, thank you again for being the brave patriot you are, for speaking out for our kids and doing everything you've been doing. I for one appreciate it.
Thank you for your kind words. Our friendship, I value our friendship, and thank you again for having me on. It was an honor and a pleasure.
All right. Well, thank you, Christine.